Well, good morning, Lift City family and friends. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's back to school checkup. It's our sort of kind of virtual, townhouse, our town hall, I should say, on going back to school and all of the changes and everything that has happened. So our intent today, family, is to give you the proper tools that you need in order to help your student to be successful in this new day and age and time that we live in. Everybody's trying to navigate all of these waters, and so we want to give you the support that you need. And we have some wonderful people here, some panelists who are here who are experts in what they do, and they're going to provide the right information. Information is important, but having the right information is more important. And there's a lot of conversation going on today with regard to what is best for your student, in this time that we live in. So we wanted to bring in some people who could help us to navigate, as I said, these waters so that we understand how to best help our students. If you have not done so, y'all know how we do here at Lift City Church. I want you to make sure that you take this opportunity to share the broadcast and make sure you tag a parent, grandparents, parents, students, tag them so that they can tune in right now or maybe even later to get this information, because I have no doubt that what's going to be shared today is really going to help you to make sure that your student succeeds. So for those of you who are in the house, thank you so much for being present. Why don't you give yourselves a hand for being here today? All right, so we won't delay. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to have everyone to introduce themselves and what they do, and then I'm going to have them come back and share what I think should be, in your mind, what is the most important thing that parents need to know as far as it relates to what you do. So first we're gonna have introductions, and I'll start from my left, and we have Dr. Mark Roblier, is that how I say it? Rabelais, okay, all right, here we go. Dr. Mark, would you please introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone, and to those listening. My name is Mark Rabelais. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for Lafayette Parish Schools, so in charge of curriculum instruction, teaching, and learning for the 46 schools in our district and 33,000 students that are in learning. So glad to be here, and thank you all for joining.
Sounds like you have a big job. 33,000 students. So thank you so much for that introduction. Dean Carol Bradley.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carol Bradley. I teach in Iberia Parish. I'm also a master teacher in the district. I'm also a mentor teacher under the I Teach program. And I am also an advocate for the students. And as Dean Carol Bradley is up there, I'm also the Dean for Lift Leadership Institute, which is a Christian education school, post-secondary, here in Lafayette.
Awesome, thank you so much. Will you help me give it up for her? All right, and Miss Rachel Falk.
Hi, I'm Rachel Falk. I'm the director of the Clearport Learning Center. We're an after-school program for high school students. We offer tutoring and mentoring every day after school.
Awesome, thank you so much. Next, you may applaud, go right ahead. If y'all gonna applaud, applaud. Mr. Kendra Poole.
Good morning, my name is Sergeant Poole. I'm a recruiter with the Louisiana Army National Guard. Local Lafayette area, my primary schools are Lafayette and Northside High School. But I mean, we're all over the parish, all over the state, so any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Awesome, thank you so much. And finally, Ms. Tracy Hippolyte.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tracy Hippolyte. I am the Transformation Zone Officer for Lafayette Parish
You may
School
have to
District.
start again because I'm not sure. Let's switch you out because I can't hear you, so let's just.
Okay, is this better, guys?
Yes.
Awesome. My name is Tracy Hippolyte. I'm the Transformation Zone School Officer for Lafayette Parish School District. And I lead and support the work in 9 schools in the Transformation Zone. They're Karen Crow High, Northside High, Acadian Middle School, Lafayette Middle School, Dr. Raphael Barenko Elementary, Alice Boucher Elementary, J.W. Falk Elementary, and La Rosen Preparatory School.
Awesome, thank you so much. Let's give it up for Ms. Tracy Hippolyte. I think at some point we'll go into the question about what exactly is a transformational school so that everyone is aware and on the same page. But we're going to go back to Dr. Mark and ask, if you had to share with parents as a chief academic officer who's responsible for curriculum and instruction and all of that, if you had to share one of the most important things, or what you may feel is the most important thing that parents need to be aware of and prepare for in this new way we're doing school, then I would like for you to share that at this time.
So I'll try to narrow it down to a few things.
Okay.
The first is going to be attendance. Kids need to be in attendance every day. They need to be in attendance the full time of class. I don't think it's any surprise to anybody that the time that we missed last year, in the last year and a half, due to COVID and all of the safety structures that we had to put in place, there was a lot of time missed. So any time we can make back by kids being in school every day as much as possible is a huge, huge help. And then the second thing I'll highlight real quickly is reading. Kind of with that missed attendance days, students did not get enough time in front of books, in front of text, seeing words the way they should. So parents, grandparents, close neighbors, families, friends, a kid is never too old to be read to. They may think otherwise, but they're not. And it's always important to try to get a book in a kid's hands. So attendance and reading would go a long way in any household across the district.
So I have a follow-up question to that, and it's a question I think will be on most parents' minds. For the, what it was, about a year and a half that kids were out of school, in your estimation, and more than one of you can respond if you'd like, but in your estimation, can you all share with us what is that impact to students so parents can be aware of what has really happened, you know, emotionally, mentally, academically? I think parents need to understand how did that impact the student?
So I think it's important to go back when we first closed with COVID in March of a year and a half ago. Kids did not even finish that school year. So from that point forward, they missed out on a quarter of learning. So they did not complete a full year. The next year, we tried to make up, but just in Lafayette Parish alone, as well as other districts, our middle schools and high schools were only able to attend maybe a blended schedule. So 2 days here, 3 days there, face-to-face, and some at-home learning, which we all know is good, but it doesn't supplement that face-to-face instruction they're used to getting every single day. So to quantify it, I mean, you are talking where a kid could potentially be a half a grade, a year behind where they were supposed to be, unless they found additional ways with tutoring, remediation, summer school, other outside programs and community liaisons and after-school programs to make up that learning. It's ongoing work for us in the school systems.
So that causes me to have another follow-up question, and anybody can answer it. My next follow-up question would be, what does that look like for the student ultimately 10 years from now? Anyone can answer.
And I can answer to some of that because I can share with you just some of the things that we're seeing right now.
Excuse me, Tracy, hold your mic like this. I think there's
Okay.
there we go.
There we
That's
go.
what,
Thank
yeah.
you. Look, I need a little lesson right quick, guys. Specifically, we all know how important first grade is. And first grade is where our students, our children truly learn to read. They get the skills and the things necessary for them to be proficient readers. So we're starting to see some of the impact of that with our third graders, because if you go back 2 years later, you know, like Dr. Robley said, from 2019, those kids missed 1/4 of the school year, which was critical for them to be proficient readers.
Okay.
And so we're starting to see that in some of the results with our kids lagging behind as a result, unless they had the opportunity to get the right remediation and the things that they needed to be successful. So right now, if you're seeing that lag behind in our third graders not being proficient in reading, then that could ultimately impact them as they move along in their journey in education.
Right. So, because I think what we're basically saying here is that the curriculum isn't going to change, right, to compensate for what has lacked. Is that correct? So the curriculum is going to remain the same. It's not going to compensate. In other words, we're not changing, or the school systems nationwide aren't changing the curriculum to make up. Parents have to figure out a way for their students to make up with their loss. Is that what we're saying? If we were to put it in everyday layman's term, if I'm a parent of a 6th grader that missed the curriculum for 7th, 8th, 9th, and high school isn't changing, so I have to figure out a way to make up.
Yes,
Dr.
I
Robley
think,
wants to go with that one too.
That, both of you can respond.
I think the curriculum will not change or has not changed, but the state has put some resources in place. It's called Unfinished Learning and Accelerate and Rise, whereby unfinished learning and unfinished teaching is being addressed. As Dr. Rabelais stated, we do need the students back in school to participate in that program, though. But we have something in place called Accelerate and Rise, and again, we're trying to fill in those gaps.
Okay. Dr. Rublin, you had some?
Yes, ma'am, 100% agree. You know, research doesn't support going back down in grade levels, so it's best that we keep that curriculum and that instruction on grade level the best that we can with the supports that Ms. Bradley just identified, and try to do it in live learning. To answer your question, no, like kids are expected to graduate on level, and
Okay.
so we're trying to keep our kids on the path to graduation every single day, and with the remediation tools and doing the things that we can with them in attendance, it's the first step.
That is so, parents, do y'all hear what they're saying? That is so important, because now what this does is, and Dean Bradley, I want you all to repeat those systems and programs that are available, because this whole thing was about making parents aware about what they need to do. Because I think as a parent, when you send your child to school, you just think, you know, it's just, we all do it, you know, they're gonna get, we have to be aware of, now I have to become even more involved than I already was, and ensure that my student takes advantage of the programs that are in place, because eventually they're gonna have a problem, it's gonna come to a head. So can you repeat those programs again?
Yes, ma'am. Within the instructional day, they have added certain minutes to the teacher's schedule, whereby we are addressing unfinished learning and unfinished teaching, whereby the teachers did not complete their curriculum. Whereby the students also, because they were either hybrid or blended or virtual, did not have that one-on-one. So now we have that unfinished learning. So we're trying to bridge that gap. But again, we do need the students to attend. And
Can
that's
you
been
say
a
the name
problem.
of the programs one more time?
One
I wanna
is
make sure they
called-
have a chance to write them.
Yes, ma'am. One is called the Accelerate, but it's been embedded again into the teacher's curriculum.
Got it,
And
okay.
the other one is Rise.
Okay, awesome. Kendra, I thought you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just,
Your mask for some reason make you muffle. If you don't mind, do you mind pulling it down and just while you're talking? Okay.
so I just was speaking on what Ms. Tracy was talking on earlier with the first graders, how that's the grade that they start to learn to read. With my daughter specifically, and I'm speaking as a parent, with my daughter specifically, I felt like they was ready to, you know, to go into first grade, and
Right.
the work that we do at home and the work that we did all last year, I felt like they was ready. Like their math skills was on point. What they did know seemed to me as a parent, like, you know, they was good. They was they was ready to start first grade and
Right.
fall right in. Well, they struggled.
Wow.
They struggled with reading. And the teacher sent home different things to help practice and things like that, and they were still failing like, you know, the test or whatever
The assessments.
the assessments that they had. And they ended up having to be in one of the programs that they was talking about, where they had to do like remedial tutoring and things like that. And attendance was the key to them getting to where they are now, where they're doing really well.
Right.
And they're coming home and reading pictures that I have on the wall, or looking at my phone and trying to read text messages. Like they're doing so much better now,
Right.
because the teachers are actually taking the time to, or the teachers are aware that they're not going to be where we as parents think, oh, well, my child
Gotcha.
is good, my
Okay.
child is good to go. The teachers understand that, no, they're not. So they're actually, in the school system, is actually putting things in place
Right.
to where they understand and they're working with these kids. But if parents aren't paying attention, if parents aren't you know, helping, checking their folders, checking their book sacks, their schoolwork, you won't know.
Right.
You'll just assume that everything is good to go and your kid could really be at home, be at school struggling. So I would just say, as a parent, like this program as a whole, is great, but we actually have to do the work outside of just sending our
Right.
kids to school to do the work.
Right.
We have to do the work and pay attention as well.
Yeah,
So-
that's a great point, because what you all do in your roles and programs like this, and I'm sure there are others, these are tools and support, but it still means that as parents, we have to do our work. I know that there's some high school parents online and in the building. So Rachel, tell us what you've seen in tutoring and how is it affecting upper grades?
Well, it's a little bit different with the older grades because there are some ways that they can recover courses and retake courses through Edgenuity. And we do have students that didn't excel years before that are also taking those courses. And that's a place where we can come in because we do have high-speed internet and computers running, at high speeds where kids can do that in their extra time, where they don't have time in the school day because they're already taking a full load. We have tutors there to help them through that. So we're a really great resource to support the family.
Okay, can you tell us where the center is located and how parents can access you to get their kids involved in the tutoring program?
Yes, we're located at 210 West Pine Street, which is the backside of the Northgate Mall, across from Planet Fitness on that side road there. And if you're interested, our website is theclearport.org, and you can go under Get Involved, and our application is there. Or you can email us at clearportlearning@gmail.com.
Is there a financial cost to the
No,
parents?
our program is completely free.
Y'all should clap y'all hands right there. Free support and help. Thank God. So that's awesome. Dean Bradley, tell us, what is one of the most important things that I believe you're a science teacher?
Yes.
And Dean, we had a academic summer camp here this summer, and Dean Bradley, as she said, is a master teacher, and the kids actually loved. They had all kind of dead animals in here doing stuff scientifically, and that's what she does. But so tell us how important science, I think they call it STEM, right?
Yes.
I've been out of the system for a while. Tell us how important that is for parents, for both elementary and upper grade levels.
Well, in this day and age, with the STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math, and now they've even added an A for art, because a lot of our students are creative. But again, our students are learning technology now at a faster rate. They're even learning it faster than the teachers. So that is very important, because a lot of our present curriculum, the careers, because that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to prepare our students to become college ready, career ready, and technology is leading the entire area here. So again, science is so important. Science is steadily changing. We're seeing a lot of new experiments now. We're seeing a lot of research, even with the program whereby we're learning how to write scientifically, how to read scientifically, as what was mentioned before. So science plays a big part along with math and engineering.
Awesome. Kendra, can you share your program, a little bit more about your program and what you do?
Yes, ma'am. So, as I said earlier, I'm a recruiter with the Louisiana Army National Guard. Our main objective, or my main objective, I'll say, is to provide these kids that's getting ready to graduate and go out into the real world and start real jobs and try to build a life for themselves. My job is to provide them with a job skill that'll help them be able to come right out of high school with something that they can even put on their resume to say, I'm able to do this, that, and that. To be able to provide them with work experience, because there's a lot of kids that go to college and they graduate with a degree, but they're also competing against everybody that they graduated with for the same job, and none of them have work experience. So to provide them with work experience that they can also put on that resume, and then pay for the college degree that they have, because there's way too many people that's graduating college with such and such amounts of debt or whatever, and you're trying to get into the real world and you have all this debt behind you. So even if you do get a good job, you can't even enjoy the rewards for your labor because you're busy trying to pay it back. Well, we pay 100% of the college tuition, and Louisiana is one of 3 states whose National Guards actually provide that benefit. So if you, a lot of people just don't know. They see the uniform and associate the uniform with just Army. And although we are Army, I mean, we are a department of the Army, there's 3 different branches within that particular uniform. So I would encourage anybody who sees a soldier in uniform to ask them, hey, you in the Army, Army Reserve, Army National Guard, and really get to learn the difference and know the difference between them and not just see the uniform. We pay 100% of college tuition. That is a major, major, major asset to anybody that's planning on going to school or just going to work in general.
Got it.
So I don't want to take
Yeah,
up
yeah.
too much.
No, it's okay. I was just thinking, you know, when it comes to military as a parent, I think that a lot of parents and students are put off, even if it presents itself as an opportunity. I've seen in my tenure, a lot of parents and students decide not to do it because of this fear associated. That's the best word I could find to describe it. But you're really getting a free education that sets you up for the rest of your life. So can you address, as somebody who's in the National Guard, clearly have gone through the program, can you address some of those mindsets and fears that exist around people just shutting it out and won't even consider it?
So I can say this. I joined at 17 right out of Lafayette High School.
Okay.
When I went to my mom and told my mom, hey mom, I want to join the National Guard, immediately she was like, nah, it's not happening. You know, I don't want my baby to go out there and you know, get killed in war and blah, blah, things like that. Well, here it is going on 14 years later. I've been on 2 deployments. I've been many places around the world. I've served my country, my community, and I'm here speaking in front of everybody.
Right.
With anything you do in life, anything that you do in life, there's risks that come with it. You can work for Walmart, and just going to work, you can end up losing your life. I'm not saying that this job doesn't come with risk factors. However, the risk isn't as extreme as you would think it is. A lot of people fear come from what they see on TV, movies and entertainment. But we don't stop to think about the fact that that's just entertainment.
Right.
Nobody wants to see a movie about a mechanic working on vehicles. Nobody wants to see a movie about someone working in signal communications or human resources or logistics or legal, law, medical.
Right.
Nobody cares about that. They want to see action. They want to see explosives. They want to see that type of stuff. So that's what you'll see in movies, and that's where the fear is generated from. But that's not all the military as a whole is.
So people don't see the part of the military that prepares you, well, to give you a free education and prepares you for life so that you're
That
successful.
prepares you for life
Okay.
and leadership, and to be able to think outside of the box. And you don't see that on TV,
Gotcha.
but you'll see that if you actually stop to talk to somebody.
Right.
Or
So,
got to know someone that's in it.
yeah. So parents of high school students, I think it's important to have options, right? Lots of options. It's extremely important to have options. So there's nothing wrong with knowing what your options are. Doesn't mean you have to sign the dotted line, but you could at least discover, right? Right now I'm gonna go to Tracy because I want you to explain what transformation schools are and what that means.
Okay, so with Transformation Zone schools, these are schools that at end of a particular year did not meet the adequate growth needed in particular groups or subgroups, and those subgroups could include like SPED, socioeconomic, African American students. And so schools in the Transformation Zone, through a grant, which is Super App through Louisiana Department of Education, and Superintendent Trosclair with Lafayette Parish School District, they have put resources and supports in place in order to make sure that we get the growth that's needed. So the great thing is that the right resources are there, with support, in order to make sure that our students achieve success on end-of-the-year school tests.
So if your student is in one of the schools that you mentioned as a part of the transformation zone, those schools are in particularly targeted and getting what they need to bring themselves up.
And I can tell you 4 of the major things that
Okay.
we're focusing on right now, guys: literacy. I mean, across the board in all of our schools. Truancy, and Dr. Rabelais spoke to that. Emotional and social support for our students, in addition to recruiting and retaining teachers. And so as parents and as a community, how might you help us? Is help us with our literacy initiative. This could be as simple as reading to the kids, to your children. When we talk about truancy, let's make sure that they're at school every single day, because each and every day that they miss, they will miss learning. And if your child needs some emotional social support, please reach out to the school. We have social workers at every transformation school that has been assigned there to provide that additional support.
Awesome.
So we have a lot of resources and
Yeah.
support that's been afforded to us, not only through LDOE, the State Department, but Superintendent Trostclair as well. She makes sure that we have everything that we need for our students to be successful.
Awesome. I see Dr. Zenon has joined us at the table. Good morning, how are you? If you would, I think that microphone is already on. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Good morning, and my apologies for my tardiness. I had a previous meeting with National Board Certified Teachers across Louisiana. So know that we are continually working to empower teachers to be able to empower students. So actually I own Wise Owl Scholar Academy. It's really under DZ Educational Enterprises, and for me, this was important to begin for students to gain access to opportunities. A number of times we find that students do not have access to scholarships. They don't know where to find the monies, but getting them prepared to do well so that they can access the scholarships and the funding that is out there. There's a lot of money that's out there for students. We just need to get them prepared to be able to receive it. So that's a little bit about me. I wear several hats in the area of education. So, and I'm passionate about what happens to students in our community. Thank you.
Question. So for a parent of, let's say, a high school freshman, sophomore, junior, at what point, we know that they have to do well in order to have access to certain scholarships, you know, when it's time to go to college, if that's what they're going to choose to do. So how soon should parents start looking into these avenues for different scholarships and monies to assist with furthering their education?
So honestly, a lot of people think that, and I was one of those parents, oh, we could wait till the junior year. No, junior year is late. You're behind the curve. So you're probably gonna really freak out, because when I recognized that at 6th grade, my child could have started the process, I was amazed. There is an option for students at 6th grade to begin preparing for the ACT and preparing for scholarships moving forward. There are several opportunities and the parents don't necessarily know about. If you're in the freshman year and your child is a freshman, you need to begin then. Okay, so there's no time really to, and you could start with small increments of things. An ACT prep, an ACT review every day, an ACT question every day. Something really, simple. There's a lot of things that are available at kaplan.com. There's a lot of things available on ACT, and that's what I do. I more or less give them slow increments to grow them where they need to be. So yes, if a parent is interested, you want to begin now with your students.
Awesome. I didn't know that. 6th grade? I mean, I have 2 students who've already graduated, but I wish somebody would have told me. But yeah, that's very important. 6th grade, that's like 6 years in advance to begin to prep. I wanted to ask this question because I think it just kind of puts it in layman's terms for students and parents, and we do have some high school students and middle school students in the audience here, and maybe some online. But I wanted to ask how, outside of their curriculum and what they're instructed to do by their teacher, how much should a student be reading every day? Because to my knowledge and understanding, in order to perform well on ACT and standardized testing, you need, literacy is a big thing, and you need to have an expansive vocabulary, and that's what helps you, critical thinking, all of that is what helps you. So how much should a student be reading every day, and what types of materials should they be reading? Anybody on the panel can answer.
So I'll start. As early as they're able to start to look at pictures, look at text, they should engage at least 20 to 25 minutes at the earliest grade levels. As they get older, 30, 40, 45 minutes is not out of reason. You mentioned what should they be doing, and that is a really important question. It not only has to be engaged with books and learning, but also the right text and the right appropriate grade level and lexile level for them to look at. So your librarian can help with that, your teacher can help with that, but making sure that your students are not only having the time, but also the time with the right books and the right text, and your schools can do that. We have a program called Accelerated Reader, or AR for students. That is something that we incentivize and celebrate. So if you want to know what your AR level is, or how you're doing in AR progress, or points that students may get rewarded on, please, please, please reach out to your schools and try to see how you can be more involved with that process.
Thank you, Dr. Rogley. I'll actually add to that. In addition to it, it's more than just reading, it's comprehending. And the ACT will test you on comprehension. They will not give it to them verbatim as this. It won't be, what color is that chair? The chair is brown. It won't be that literal. So while your students are reading or joining into these
Bring your mic
opportunities,
up a little bit, Dr.
okay,
Zenon, so they
or
can hear
joining
online.
into these opportunities, have your students tell you about what they read. If it takes them too long to tell you, let's say, if they're reading a paragraph or they're reading a story, and then after they kind of forget, then break it up into small segments and say, well, I don't know, tell me a little bit more about that. I tell parents a lot, when you're driving down the street, have them read the street signs. Utilize what you have that's going on. And then if you're listening to the radio, well, while they're listening, tell them to tell you what was just said. Comprehension is key. It's actually going to help them as they're reading and they are articulating, meaning learning this vocabulary. They will be able to associate, meaning they will be able to connect to the important content and the important information that's asked. Reading is across the curriculum. If they cannot read, they cannot do any of the curriculum. Math especially, they cannot. And to Ms. Hippolyte's point about literacy being the top, one of the top, it is important that they know how to read and comprehend.
Rachel, I wanted to ask you, as you prepare students in your program for college, what, in this day and age, what are colleges looking for?
Well, everybody's focused on the ACT score. Obviously, that's for our kids that come in, because we have many kids that come through Lafayette Parish and surrounding schools that have really great grades, but they wait so late to get the ACT score, and that's the standardized ways that colleges look at students. That's
Gotcha.
our only data point. So when they're waiting until their junior year, we have to put so much focus in making time for them to do the prep, because it does take a long time to grow if you're not a good test taker or you don't have those true comprehension skills. That's why 6th grade is important to start, because if you can build really great comprehension skills early on, it makes it easier later to take those tests. So doing that, and also being a well-rounded student also, so being involved in doing community service and taking leadership at your school is all things that are,
Mm-hmm.
you know, parts of getting scholarships and
Right.
applying.
So
to
it's not
colleges.
just about the grades, it needs to be a balance across the board. Grades are important, obviously. And the
Obviously.
test score is important, but a balance
Yes,
all
a
across the
balance.
board. Thank you so much for that. I was thinking about, like, I think sometimes parents don't, because we don't know, sometimes we don't know the value of taking ACT, or where my kids grew up was SAT prep. And I can just speak, you know, as a testimonial from my own children. They, you know, my son was, thank God, bright and all of that. But when he took his first SAT test, he scored well, but not as well as we thought he would have. So it goes to your point about, I think Kendra said about how as parents we think one thing, but teachers know better. And we put him in an SAT prep, and his score triple. I mean, I think it went up like 40 points. And so it put him in a scholarship range where he got a lot of money to go to school. And so I'm saying that to say, if you have not put your kid in there, do what they're saying. It matters. It makes a difference. Put your child in ACT prep, because it's going to help them get better and better and better. Dr. Mark?
Yeah, so I 100% agree, and I feel like I'd be remiss if I did not mention, every 11th grader and some 12th graders test for free as part of being in our system. So I think March 8th, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be the state ACT day, where every 11th grader will take that ACT. Every 10th grader will have the opportunity to take pre-ACT. So parents, that's a great pre-test to see where your kid would measure. And then to your other point, we also offer a lot of our schools ACT Mastery Prep, which is something they can do at home at any point in the year. And it's an additional resource, as well as ACT boot camps to work on some of
Okay.
those test-taking strategies and skills with the schools and with some of the ACT experts that are out there as well. So a ton of resources that really are free and available. Again, just advocate for your student and get in touch with the school, and they can help you with that.
Awesome. I wanted to ask, in the times that we're living in, there's a lot of controversy and there is some fear from parents. And to my knowledge and understanding, parents do have a choice as to whether or not they send their children to school or do a hybrid program. Is that accurate? I know things are constantly changing. So can we address fears that parents have about sending their child to school? And if a child, for whatever reason, some children, I've been told, have to stay home for medical reasons, how do parents best assist and help them? Anyone can respond. Y'all got the question? Okay, so I'll repeat it. There's some, I think, some confusion, some concern, some fears. I'm not really sure in Lafayette Parish and the surrounding areas, what is the mandate? Do kids have to be in school? Do they get the choice as to whether or not they go to school? Some parents are asking that because I don't know if they have the correct information. And if their kid has a medical issue where they have to stay at home, how do you best help that child? So maybe Dr. Mark, you can answer that. What is the mandate in Lafayette Parish for students? Do they get the choice? Do they have to be in school? Is it a hybrid? How does that work?
Yeah, so attendance, which we've been saying, is still compulsory, meaning the state still requires daily attendance and minimum attendance requirements for students to get a grade, to get credit, to receive what they need to as part of the requirements for either being promoted to the next grade or graduation. We did have some academies that were open at the beginning of the year, virtual academies, as well as we still have one with Edward J. Sam, which is kind of a blended kind of school setting, to where it's partly in front of a teacher, partly to be done online and in coursework. But they are still required to go to school every day. There are some medical exceptions, or if someone gets sick, or, which we've always tried to accommodate the best we can with either homebound services or other virtual services that are available. But those are really, the specific situation that we call for, whether it's a kid with a specific disability or some kind of extenuating medical circumstance. But for a majority of our kids, it's simply yes, it's just required that they attend.
Right.
And we do our best to have those mitigating factors in place for those students.
So to dispel some of the fears and concerns out there, what you're saying is that, at least in the state of Louisiana, it is mandated that unless there's an exception, children go to school, because attendance is a key connector to them being educated the way that they need to, and they're not going to necessarily get that at home.
I
Tracy?
just want to add to that. At the end of the day, guys, we need our kids in front of us. In order for them to truly get what they need, you know, we need them at school, receiving that high-quality learning every single day.
Awesome.
And I'm going to add to what both Ms. Hippolyte and Dr. Robley said. There are several different types of schools, like traditional schools, charter school, home school, private school. All of them require attendance, all of them, and that is a state mandate. However, in the different situations allow you different flexibilities. So if you're in a home school, they will have different regulations or one-on-one because their classroom sizes are smaller. But then that's a pay source. And then you have private school where the classes may or may not be smaller. That's not a guarantee. A lot of times they are larger because it is a pay entity, a for-profit entity. But then they may get some access to different regulations, but they still have to come to school in order to receive a grade, in order to learn, because a child who is absent it's difficult for them to learn. Virtual is difficult for a lot of students, and I know that a number of parents struggled with that particular piece during COVID, and we're still in the pandemic. As parents struggle with the rigor to ensure that their students are learning, teachers struggle with ensuring that our students are grasping it. So that has been a learning curve, which I think that we are doing very well with now that we're coming to the end of the pandemic. There's a number of resources that are out there. There's a number of trainings that are being given to teachers to support that area. However, you as a parent can partner with us to work with your child to ensure that this is what Mary needs. How can I help at home to support Mary? Those types of things. We are partners in this work. And in addition to that, in traditional schools, you have to be in school. And their mandates are by federal, all by federal. And then you have charter schools, their mandates are a little bit more relaxed, but they also are by federal. I think I clarified that piece.
Awesome, thank you so much. In a moment, we're going to allow the audience to ask questions if they have, both online and in-person audience. I did have a question with regard to parents. So if a parent is having a challenge with anything going on in the system, you know, whether it's challenge with them feeling like the teacher, so to speak, doesn't work for their students. I've heard of those things. If where they feel like they're not getting the assistance or the support that they need, what advocates, or how does a parent advocate in the right way in the system? How do you advocate for your student in the right way? What is the system to advocate for your student?
Well, I can speak on that a little. As concerning advocacy, I would say that the student themselves are their best advocate. They need to identify if their needs are being met, that the teachers are there. There are a lot of programs, as was mentioned before. There are a lot of recovery programs. They can see their teacher in the morning and for lunch if they have to, or after school. There are a lot of after school programs. I would say that the student themselves need to be an advocate for themselves. The next thing that I would say concerning that is that the guidance counselors, utilize those guidance counselors. You don't have to just attend to see the guidance counselor for scheduling, but stay in front of them. Let them know you have talents, you have skills, and that they can be an advocate for scholarships or to lead you in the right direction. They have a lot of resources. The third thing I would say, parents, if you don't know, there are a lot of resources there. You get in touch with the guidance counselor. See what the teachers need for your student. A lot of times whenever there are graduations, whenever there are award ceremonies, parents always say, well, I didn't know that was out there. Introduce yourself. If you have a 7th grader, attend the 8th grade award ceremony. See what's out there. So I would say that the parent, the student, all of us work together so we can all advocate for the student, especially the student need to kind of advocate for themselves because they're on the campus. So again, talk to your teachers, talk to your guidance counselors. A lot of resources are out there.
So I will add to what Dean Bradley said. A lot of times there's a fear to advocate for your child because you don't understand clearly the jargon, the language, or what the system is saying. So yes, it would be important to have an advocate on your side. So if you recall in elementary, K-1, 2, I'm going to go across K-12 spectrum. If you recall K-12, when your child was in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, anything the child did, you were at school. Anything that you were impressed by, you were at school. If he made a poor grade or things of that nature, you were in contact with the teacher. That does not end when they get to high school. No. It continues. So you continue with that same vigor, that same energy to connect with teachers and let them know that you're interested, let them know that you're there. That will help you continue to be an advocate for your child because they will see you, again, as a partner in the work.
Dr. Mark?
Yeah, so 100% agree. The only thing I'll add for Lafayette Parish students, parents to stay informed, students stay informed. October 12th is the first 9 weeks. That's 1 quarter of learning. We will get report cards right after that. So you'll know then, and that's a great time to start. Do I need to start recovering some coursework? Do I need to start making sure to focus more on one class with maybe an F or a D or C? But knowing when that report card is. The second date I'm gonna give you is October 20th. That's our first parent-teacher conference day. It's a great day to go and meet your kids' teachers. We'll try to do it face-to-face. And so you can actually sit down and talk with them across in small individual sessions to get a live update on your students' progress. So October 12th, report cards, October 20th, parent-teacher conference. That's first 9 weeks, that's right out the gate to kind of help you guys get off on the right foot and start to plan what next steps need to come.
And Dr. Mark, I see you keep reiterating that. How important is it to catch it at this first 9 weeks?
Yeah.
How important is that?
Earlier is better, and you got to stay proactive. Like parents, students, 100%. Advocate for yourself, advocate for your child. Reach out to the administration and counselors. You're not bothering anybody. They want you at the table. They want you as part of those conversations. They're going to be talking about next steps, and so it's all the more reason for you to be at the table to talk about and better understand the grade, the grading, what they need, what they're doing well in, what they're achieving with. And to start those conversations right now, it just puts the rest of the year on a better track. So earlier is always better.
Awesome. Tracy, can you address, I think we were at a meeting with the superintendent, and there is a parent program that they were discussing that a lot of parents aren't aware of. Can you please explain that particular support group?
Yeah, at our parent center for Lafayette Parish School District, which is located at the Vermilion Conference Center, they have multiple resources, anything that you might need in order to better help your child at home. They can actually go to the Vermilion Conference Center and visit the Parent Center. They actually have someone there, Ms. Robin, that can actually sit down with you, look at reports to see where the deficits are with your child and what are some things that they have in the center that you can do at home with your child. So Ms. Robin, Ms. Stephanie Robin is the individual, the coordinator for the Parent Center, and is located at the Vermilion Conference Center. So please reach out.
Kendra?
I just want to say, again, as a parent, and for all the parents that's listening, we have them up here talking about, how they want the parents involved and how different ways that the kids can be involved and do different things at home. But when we do reach out to whether it's the school board, the schools, or even dealing with our kids, be patient and have some understanding, and also understand that last year was very, very tough for everybody, especially the staff and the students. But this year isn't that much easier either. This year is very tough as well. I'm in the schools regularly, and as a parent, prior to being in the schools, I wasn't thinking like that. I didn't see, I didn't know, but it's hard for those teachers, for those staff members right now. And they're doing everything that they can to take care of the students, to make sure, you know, the parents and everybody's happy and still maintain and do their job at the same time. That's not an easy task. That's not an easy task. So when you do go up to these schools, there's already enough pressure going on behind the scenes to make sure things is being done properly. Come up there with the right attitude and the
Solution driven?
solution driven. Come up there solution driven versus being anything else.
Right.
Come up there with a positive attitude and be a part of the solution,
Right.
not, you know, create more chaos than there already is.
Thank you for
No.
saying that. I'm glad you said that because I don't think from the outside we realize the challenges that teachers, I mean, teaching, I know because I taught high school, but teaching is already challenging. But when you add in all the factors that we deal with today, I can't even imagine. So thank you for saying that, which is one of the reasons why this church in particular, and other churches and organizations have done it as well, because we want to support the school system. We support Northside High School for that reason, because we try to do things to keep the teachers and the students encouraged, because it's just challenging. It's challenging on both sides. We were talking about preparing for college and college education. Rachel, do you know what is the average cost of a college education if you had to pay for your child to go to college? A roundabout number, the average cost of a 4-year degree program these days?
Well, I know at UL it's close to $40,000 over it's a little bit over for a 4-year university, over 4 years. It's very expensive.
So okay, I wanted you to answer that question on purpose, because I think we keep talking about how important it is to start like 6th grade and earliest to start preparing your kids and looking and ACT scores and looking for scholarships, because we have two answers right now for that $40,000. We have the National Guard, and then we have, tell us about TOPS.
Yes, we have TOPS. They're in their different levels of TOPS. Obviously, they have the TOPS Tech, which a lot of our students, because they're in Jumpstart, qualify for that if they score 18 or above on the ACT, which I think a lot of parents are not really aware of, and that's something we're working on informing them about. And then they need a 21 for a traditional school for the first level of TOPS.
So there are avenues. Dr. Zena, I know you had spoken with me, and I think this is going to be the last comment before we go to questions. You had spoken with me about some additional scholarship information that we had discussed.
So in addition to what Ms. Falk mentioned about ACT, TOPS, TOPS is only good for Louisiana. If your student is thinking about going outside of Louisiana, they will need more money. So we have the PSAT, not the pre-ACT, the PSAT, preliminary scholar, I think it's the test before the SAT. And if you take this test, some schools give it as a sophomore, but if your student take this test as a junior, they can qualify for a full paid scholarship. That's becoming a student of excellence. Thirdly, there are scholarships that, as we're talking about TOPS, and you're speaking about other scholarships for students that, athletics is one as well, GPA is another one. There are scholarships out there. I mean, for just pretty much anything. If you're looking for a particular profession that your child is interested in, and they go into that direction. A private college, I can tell you, it's like $100,000 to $200,000 easy. College debt you don't want it. Trust me, you don't want it. I'm in the middle of it now. You don't want it. And so alleviate that with getting that SAT. Then they could apply for new scholarships their freshman year after they achieve and get on the dean's list. There's the things that students do not know, parents do not know, Start collecting that now. Those are things I wish I knew when my sons went away to college. So there are ways to cut that cost now. It's in the academics. It's in the different things that you do now.
Dean, go ahead.
I just want to say this because it's very important with them talking about TOPS and the different scholarship programs and everything. As I said before, the Louisiana National Guard pays 100% of college tuition at any state-funded college in the state of Louisiana. Similar to TOPS, TOPS is a Louisiana program. However, being in the United States military, to include the Louisiana National Guard, we do offer tuition assistance as well.
Okay.
So even if you do join the National Guard and decide to go to school outside of the state, we'll still help pay for that degree. However, no matter which route you take, whether it's staying local or utilizing the benefit of staying in the state and getting 100% of your tuition paid, apply for these scholarships. Still seek out TOPS because you can still get TOPS and still get the Louisiana 100% tuition exemption benefit, along with any other scholarships that you get. Every dollar, every cent of scholarships that you receive, that all comes back to you because we're already taking care of the tuition. And there's no extra guideline to it. We're already taking care of the tuition. So with that being done, all you have is fees, and we still pay for that.
Gotcha.
We still pay for that through the GI Bill. So your money from TOPS or your money from all of these scholarship programs can essentially go directly into your pocket. And a lot of people just don't know about that benefit. It's an extreme benefit to where you're not worrying about paying back student loan debt. You're graduating with a degree, with work experience, and all of that debt-free. And you can actually enjoy the money that you're working for.
Right, because student loan debt is the only debt that cannot be, people talk about, filing bankruptcy or things like that when things happen in life, even under, extreme circumstances like that, if it's something detrimental like a medical issue would have happened in your family and you had to ultimately, file bankruptcy, student loan debt is not ever forgiven. So I'm just making the point that they keep reiterating about the student loan debt because you'll never get rid of it, basically. You make sure that you get all the free education that you can possibly get. So at this time, what we're going to do is we're going to field questions from the online audience as well as from the audience that's here. If you have a question so that everyone can hear you both in-house and online, if you would come to the microphones in the aisle, there's no, stupid question. I'm sure if you ask the question, somebody's going to be thinking the same thing. So if you have a question, whether you're online, you can type it in the chat section. They'll let me know what it is. Or if you have a question and you're in the building, if you would come and ask your questions at this time, if it's something that was not addressed. So is anyone coming? Go ahead.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, everybody. I had a question from the back. You have a lot of parents that, want to do all that you are saying you're going to do, that they could do for their children, but don't feel like they have the financial ability. They feel like there's a financial cap for people who can afford tutoring or people who can, and they just assume, I can't afford that. I can't go. I can't pay somebody to do that. So can you just talk about whether it's your program or other programs that may have financial assistance or may be free for people, or what you would say to those parents who are like, I just can't afford to do extra?
Yeah, I'll speak for Lafayette Parish. All of our K through 8 elementary and
Hold it up.
hello.
There you go. You're blocking the
Yeah, I'll
signal.
speak for Lafayette Parish. All of our elementary and middle schools, we have it built in for them to offer free, we call it extended learning, tutoring and instruction before school or after school, depending on the site. A lot of our schools are also providing transportation for that service as well. So it's free. It may be 2-3 days a week, depending on the school and the situation. But again, it's just about coordinating with your school, seeing the time, seeing what the transportation details may be, and they will work that out with you guys. So that's a free service that we provide in our district.
Anyone else?
Another service that's, and I want you guys to really look out for it, we were fortunate to get the Real Grant through the Department of Education. And through the Real Grant, we'll be partnering with Sylvan Learning Center, where parents can have the opportunity to just bring their child to Sylvan Learning Center. So we'll be sending information out for that in coming weeks. If your child attends school, and it's only for elementary, so if they attend JWFO, Barranco, or Boucher, your child will be eligible to get some free tutoring services through Sylvan Learning Center. So look out for that information that'll be coming home to your child real soon.
Awesome.
And the Clearport Learning Center is completely free. We offer free tutoring by college students, and we do have some certified teachers that work there too, teachers that are also in Lafayette Parish. So it's a free program that we'd love to help your kid.
Awesome.
And
Go ahead.
The Wise Out Scholar Academy, we also offer scholarships to students through our WISE Foundation, which businesses support and sponsor children to attend.
This question just came to mind, I think is important for middle and high school students. Where can parents and students go to get help with when they're preparing for college? We've talked about the tutoring, ACT prep and all of that, but where can they get help with the application process as well as a FAFSA? Is that the guidance counselor? Where do parents get help for those types of things?
Yes, the counselors can definitely help with that. Most schools host what's called a FAFSA night or FAFSA evening, where they'll actually invite the parents. They will walk you through that FAFSA process and walk you through that application as well. But counselors would be the best resource for that.
Awesome.
And I'll add that there are programs that actually my sorority has what we call a #CAP program, and it is free to all students. We help them with applications. We help them with ACT prep. We help them with FAFSA applications. We actually walk them through ACT prep. Like the whole process, we started their junior year. It is completely free for them. We meet monthly to get them guided. We also connect them with admissions coordinators so that they can have an opportunity to ask questions of these, but we do that once a month throughout the year. So they begin the junior senior year, and I do have applications if you are interested.
Okay, awesome. So there we have already 3 sources. We have Dr. Zenon's program, we have the in-school program, and we have the tutoring service, Clearport. So 3 options to get the help that you need with that. One more question?
Okay, so I'm also a teacher in St. Martin Parish, but I have a child who is a junior currently, and I know you guys mentioned ACT prep, but my question is, last year a lot of the seniors who applied to college, a lot of the ACT scores were waived during admissions. So do you guys foresee that in the next couple of years? Because our daughter, even her sophomore year, she doubled up on her maths, but just missing those few months of instruction, I feel like it still put them behind. So she did start her ACT sophomore year. She didn't get to her TOPS goal yet, but I'm wondering, even like this school year, last month, they were off for quarantine, the entire school for a week. So do you guys see that being an option where ACT scores are waived? I know TOPS might still have their guidelines, but...
So I believe that this was waived only because of the situation with the pandemic. I do not foresee that ACT will ever go away or SAT will ever go away. There needs to be a measure of some sort as to who gets the money, who's doing well, who's college prepared and ready. So even if they were waiving it, I recommend students take it anyway because there's money that's attached to it. So the opportunity, don't let it pass you by. So yes, I don't think it's going away. That's my opinion.
That's a great question. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Board of Regents who makes that decision that partners with colleges and universities, it does not seem like they're waiving that again. However, some universities are taking into account all of the, again, extenuating circumstances and things. However, that does not always translate to tops, and potential scholarships are out there. But again, if you have a junior, make sure that you know, again, that they should get a free ACT at the school site in the spring, so that'll give you one. Depending on how they do, you could have some multiple opportunities in the later in the spring or in the summer. And then a lot of school systems, depending if maybe they were on that 18, 19, 20 bubble range, they give them another chance their senior year. So there's another couple opportunities for any current junior to get to that desired score for their college entry.
Awesome. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, please come to the mic.
Unfortunately, there were like students that had to drop out of high school for whatever reason. They didn't have the support or whatever. Is there any information that y'all have that could get them back on track to getting their GED, or any programs out there that can help them?
That's a great question.
Yes, so I would encourage anyone to get in touch with our federal programs department, and we have some packets out there, and I'll share them digitally as well. But we do have an adult ed program that we try to coordinate as well for those students that are maybe at the brink of not meeting graduation requirements or overage and maybe need to start to looking at an alternative track. And the high set program, which is kind of that high school equivalency. So yes, there's a bunch of avenues. We partner with SLCC for that work. And so it's a great program to get them in. Again, earlier is better. So if you know those people, we can coordinate, and there's a department to help with that.
So awesome. I think what he said, there's some information in the back, and we'll make sure that you have that information. That reminded me of a question I meant to ask, and then we're going to take closing comments. And that I was talking to a couple of parents randomly, probably over the summer, and there's this thought that I don't think it's two different degrees that high school students get. I think it's a track where there's a college track, and then there's I guess it's called vocational track. Can one of you explain that? Because I think that parents are sometimes confused, because it was commented in the conversation like there's a track where if you don't take the college track, you'll never have the opportunity to go to college. So can you clear that up for parents and students?
I love that question. Yes, 100%. We have two tracks in high school. One, Topps University. The other one, Ms. Falk had mentioned, the Topps Tech or Jumpstart. The goal for any kid is college and or career ready. That career ready is so important. So we've been talking a lot about ACT and meeting ACT requirements. For some kids, some brilliant kids, that is just not their track. They prefer something more hands-on. They prefer something more crafts-based, something that may be more trades-based, and they could make a wonderful living in that trade, craft, or skill. What's really remarkable right now in the high schools and this shift is that students start earning the certifications and industry-based credentials to be work ready by the time they walk across that stage as a senior. So they can go right from that to either working towards an associate's and continuing that trade skill, or go right into the auto industry, welding, carpentry, manufacturing. We have cosmetics, and we have culinary. There's a ton of other trades and skills there for students to aspire and work towards, and it is a remarkable benefit to them in starting to earn that living and making a really good living with it.
I love that. So you're preparing them to have options. Options that if college just isn't your thing, there is an option still for you to have a successful life. Yes, sir.
I have a follow-up question to that, because I have a degree in theater arts and communication, so I went to school for it, but I do have I work with a lot of youth in arts training programs. And so you have kids like that aren't really looking for college. They want to go do something in the arts, so they want to go do hair and different things like that. And so I'm often having to encourage parents with understanding that child's choice or desire to go do something, and not necessarily taking the route of forcing them into something that they're not going to be happy with and they're going to have the bill for in 4 years. So how would you encourage parents to find the balance? Because on the flip side of that, I do think it is good that sometimes parents are like, no, I understand you want to go paint rainbows, but I need you to get this education, or I need you to go to college. So as educators, how do you find the balance and encourage parents to communicate with their kids about what they may want to do and how they choose the track of what they would want to do?
So I'll actually use myself as a parent. I have 2 sons, and yeah, they're on one opposite ends of the spectrum. One is very strong-willed, and one is whatever. But the oldest was born with a brain hemorrhage, so we had to do a lot of advocating and working with him. And the younger one took everything that the older one didn't, you know what I mean? So their desires are, some are desires are in athletics, some are in academics, but I would always share with them it's a pathway. You need to know, understand certain things because you will need to know how to negotiate with people. You will need to know how to manage your money with people, or you'll be broke. You'll need to understand the dynamics of communication, of how it works, I don't know, politically, or how to be savvy. You'll need to understand that, no matter what you do. I have a son now. I mean, he was really, really frustrated in getting through high school. Yeah, it was painful for the parent, just gonna say. But with that, encouraging him that, okay, this is what we need to get, it's a pathway. I just need you to get to that gate because the ultimate goal, always hang that. What is the goal? What is it you're trying to do? His goal was always MLS, soccer. It always was. But I still needed you to have the pathway to know how to deal with your business sense, your finance. So he went to college, got a degree in, well, started off in business, and here goes mom. Well, you know, what about finance? How close are you to finance? It's like, oh, I just need one more class, take it. So you don't have any regrets, because then you can, you know, really be versatile. So now he has a degree in business and finance. Is he still playing soccer? Yes. Do I still promote that dream? Yes. But he's armed to be, the wherewithal to, the business mind, to know how to be stronger to take care of himself.
Right.
So when you encourage your students, your children, push their dreams, but at the same time, let them know there's a pathway to keep you at your dream. Everyone has a calling, and it's us as parents to nurture that calling. So, you know, that was what I did for mine.
Yeah.
Did I like it? No, but it's what he wanted.
And I think what she's saying as a parent, be open. Again, I taught high school, and I'm sure many of you all who are on here as educators, you know, in my tenure as a high school teacher, I would try to encourage parents when I knew their student wasn't ready to go away to college, and just try to go into a 2-year, maybe a community college program, which then gives you the platform to enter a 4-year degree. And I can think of several parents who came back and regretted the decision, because you can't force your child to be there if they're not ready. It doesn't matter how smart they are, doesn't matter how high their ACT or SAT scores are. All of that's going to just it's going to crumble if they're not prepared to be out there. So I'm saying all of that to say that if your child needs the 2-year program at SLCC, they work in conjunction, you know, or wherever to make, and you can take all the foundational classes and still excel. I think we've created an environment in this country where it's like people feel some type of way if you can't say your child is going straight to a 4-year college. I think we have to strip that away, because a lot of kids, their dreams and hopes have been dashed, and they just, you know, when they go and it's that hard and that tough, they just don't do anything else. So to Dr. Dolores' point, push the dreams, but also give them avenues for options so that, you know, they always have options to be strong in whatever they do.
If I can add one more thing to that, I don't know if many of us know the story with Albert Einstein. You know, I mean, his teacher said he was dumb.
Right.
He would never amount to anything, and he failed. But yet he developed the theory of relativity. Go figure. And we still use it today.
Right.
We don't know what our children will become. We don't know. So we should follow their, you know, just the heart, what God tells us, and follow it. They have a calling.
So at this time, I'm going to take no further questions in the audience. Okay, awesome. I'm going to take closing comments, and just whatever you feel is one of the most, something that we haven't discovered today, or discussed today, I should say, something you really want parents to take away and students to take away today. So I'll start with you, Tracy.
And this is something that we did discuss, guys. I think the most important takeaway is that literacy focus. And we can really encourage you to not only encourage your child to read, but also you listen to them read. I think that would be a huge push. And last, be an advocate for your child. If it's something that you need, don't hesitate to be a voice at the table at the school. Reach out. And if it's one of the transformation zone schools and you don't get things answered, don't hesitate to reach out to me at the district office. My name is Tracy Hippolyte. I have an office there, but majority of the times I'm in the schools. However, just leave your name and number and I will call you back. But be an advocate for your child and make sure that they're getting the high quality education that they deserve.
Awesome. Kendra?
I would just reiterate what I said earlier about, like she said, be an advocate for your kid, but also just be extremely patient when dealing with the school system, because the job is extremely difficult on its own. And to the parents who have kids that's getting ready to graduate and actually move on into the real world, like
Dr. Zeno?
Dr. Zeno said, support their dreams, like encourage them. We really don't know who our children are going to grow up to be. My mom told me no when I wanted to make this decision at 17 years old. And I can even say at 17 years old, I didn't know if it was the best decision for me. I didn't know if it was the right decision for me, but God knew. And I don't mean to, get spiritual about it, but it was something that had to happen, and something that worked for me can really work for anybody else. Anything can happen in life in general, but if I would have listened to what I was told not to do, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I would just say, instead of imposing your thoughts or opinions and enforcing them onto your kids, give them an opportunity to make a decision for themselves. And if it turns out to be the best decision for them, I mean, you made me think for
You're
a minute.
winning. It's a win, right?
It's a win.
It's a win. Awesome. Rachel?
I think the takeaway I'd like to express is that parents, I know it's difficult, especially with high school, it gets complicated. There are resources out there. The Clearport would love to help your kid, even if you want them to be in a safe environment after school. We're open till 7. If you work in the evenings and you want to make sure that they're just not home alone, unsupervised, we're willing to be that support system for you guys. So
Awesome.
join us.
Awesome. Thank you. Dean Bradley?
Yes, I would like to say that from listening to everyone on the panel, that there's what we call equity, that every child deserves to learn. Every child can be successful. So whether you're academically challenged, or whether you're leaning towards the armed forces, whether you're athletically inclined, there's something that's in the middle. There's something that's for every child that is out there. So if you like to do hair, or if you're leaning towards owning your own business, there's something out there for everyone, and that there are scholarships out there even for your gender, even for whether you're in SPED. There's something out there for everyone. There are always financial resources, and just don't give up on your child. Again, we're here for them, and if they need anything, they can just call us.
Awesome. Dr. Mark?
Yeah, I'll start again with attendance matters. We can't teach an empty chair, so attendance absolutely matters every day. And the only other thing I'll touch on that we haven't really spoke about as much is advocating for the young babies. Guys, a stat that is just out there that I don't think we can say enough, 90% of the brain development happens before the age of 4. So
Wow.
anything you can do to connect a child to a child care center or a pre-K center or an early childhood network, we have one in Lafayette Parish. We can help a parent with that. We can help you with that. We can find potential donors and seats with that. But the more we can get kids in front of and in a formal educational setting from birth to 3 years old, it's going to serve the rest of their lives. So advocate when you're in the community with friends, family. If you know of someone, that is so important before the age of 4 to get them in front of an early childhood center and learning center.
Okay, so I think that's worthy of repeating. 90% of the development is from birth to 3 years old, you said? So before the age of 4. So family, friends with young children, express to your family and friends the importance of having them in a program, and they will help you find the money if you don't think you can finance it. All right, Dr. Zena?
Thank you. And that is quite accurate, and actually that number continues to increase as we speak, especially in the pandemic. The early childhood mind, like you notice that your child is a sponge as soon as they are born. We read to them before they're born. Put as much as you can into them those first 3 years, and that's accurate. I would actually just like to state that there, as far as advocacy, and a lot of times you don't know how to advocate for your child. I mean, I struggled with it as a parent and as an educator. And in advocating for my older son, of which I mentioned earlier, that was born with a brain hemorrhage, he graduated from college because of that advocacy. So I can't impress upon you enough about advocating for your child, advocating for yourself, advocating for their future. And in the event that a lot of times you don't necessarily know how to go around that, I'm available and I'm happy to assist anyone in doing that. With the language, how do I speak to the teacher? How do I get a meeting? How do I, just the simple things that you don't necessarily know. What is the protocol? And I'm happy to help with that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much to everyone who's viewing online and in person. Will you all help me to thank this awesome panel for taking time out of their schedule? Clap real loud if you got some good information. Because they didn't have to be here. We asked them, and because education is their heart and what they do, they volunteered to come. And you can't pay anybody to provide the type of information that's been received here today, and it'll be online. So as you continue to share with your family and friends, and those of you who are online, continue to share it. It's going to be so important to get the information out because our students need all of our support. This is just the part that we're playing here at Live City Church. So in a moment, I'm going to give all of these wonderful speakers an opportunity to make their way to the foyer. Some of you may have additional questions. They have some information for you. They're only going to be out there about 8 to 10 minutes, so you want to go ahead and get your questions answered real quick, because I'm sure they have other things they could be doing on their Saturday. And so we really appreciate them coming out. As a result of that, of our appreciation, or as an expression of our appreciation, we have gift cards for all of you. Derek is coming. I think they're $50 gift cards. I don't know what they're to, but we just want to Target. Who doesn't love Target? Okay, so just wanted to express our appreciation for you taking time out of your schedule. So I hope that you all don't go and take it and give it to somebody else, because I know how educators are. You'll see a need and you're like, oh, I have that Target gift card. I'm going to go buy this for this student. So I will hope that I can't tell you what to do with it because it's your gift card, but please try to do something for yourselves as an appreciation and a token of our appreciation. If you're online, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. You guys can be dismissed to make your way to the foyer. Jared, if you would help the ladies down, I want you to go over here to the left to make sure that Jared can help the ladies down. If you're online, thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day, and thank you all for being in the building today. See you soon.